So you're thinking about creating a digital story for Chalk Talks 2.0. That's fantastic. Let's get started. The Chalk Talks 2.0 digital storytelling program is sponsored by the Playing for Power Project, or P4P2, a nonprofit organization exploring the relationships between leadership development and participation in sports for women and girls. We ask you to put your creative hat on and to choose a sport-focused subject about women and girls and create your own digital story using simple technology like an iPad or Chromebook. Basically, storytellers in the Chalk Talks 2.0 program are using low-end technology commonly available to participants to create a short story, 8 to 12 minutes long. Story creators choose a theme, research the subject, interview the subject if applicable, and then put their story together using photos, film clips, music, and graphics, resulting in a personalized story presentation, or their own mini-film. Just think, if you gave a subject, let's say Serena Williams, to a group of a dozen creators, most likely you would end up with a dozen different stories, even though the subject is the same. One story creator may do a straight biography, one might focus on professional accomplishments, or another may center their story around Serena's business efforts. One story may portray Serena as a superhero, or one story may actually be a musical rap. Images used in each story may overlap, but are unique in how they are presented. The subject is the same for all, but yet each story is presented in its own unique way. We don't want a group or class to create stories using the same subject, but if we did, the stories would still be different perspectives. The best part of the Chalk Talks 2.0 program is that professionals are not the only story creators. We ask students or student athletes to be the story creators as well. When students create stories, they are asked to use only first names in any credits or audio. This is intended to provide some protection for minors, not to take away any ownership of their creation. Also, students participating in the program are required to have a parental permission slip on file. More detailed requirements for the Chalk Talks 2.0 program are accessible in the Chalk Talks 2.0 guide posted on the Playing for Power website. The end result, however, is that stories that meet all the criteria listed by P4P2 may be chosen for inclusion in a sport-based leadership curriculum for girls that is in development. Discussion guides or lesson plans will be created for the selected stories and posted online. The example story I'm going to use today is a story P4P2 produced for Chalk Talks 2.0 called A Special Basketball Story, about how the smaller basketball that women use was adopted. Sample documents for that story production process will be shown in this video. So how do I start? First, you must have access to an iPad or Chromebook at the very least. Other more advanced technology can be used, of course, but keeping it simple is fine with us. Next, think about your story theme. Do you want to create a biography or talk about a historic event or discuss Title IX? Once you have a few ideas, make a short list and ask yourself, what story can be told about each subject that you've chosen? Is there a question that needs to be answered, a problem that needs to be solved, or an obstacle to overcome in each story? Our story was inspired by Dr. Brenda Pitts from Georgia State University. She and I were speakers at an event, and she told me about Karen Logan, who first came up with the idea of using a smaller basketball for women. She also told me that Logan had a lot of trouble getting the idea to be accepted until she met the founder of Women's Professional Basketball League in the late 1970s. He agreed to use the ball in the WBL, and Dr. Pitts actually played in that first season with the smaller ball, which she later researched for her dissertation. But how did schools start using that ball? Now that was a story. You will be able to determine which subject most interests you and best fits into the format we need. Your next step is to create what is called a story map. A story map basically tracks the story from its beginning to its middle, or explanation, and then to its end, or the lesson. This is an example of our story map. Now you're on your way. Of course, you'll need to research your subject and gather material that will help you develop your script. Research can be done on the internet, at the library, in an interview if possible, or in any other number of ways. For our basketball story, we recorded an interview with Dr. Pitts and also did research on the internet and in a book written about the WBL. Don't forget archives either. They can provide valuable images. Once you have your story map and your research together, the next step is to write a script and develop what we call a story table. You may want to be the voice on your story, or maybe you'll ask someone else to step in. It's up to you. After you have written the script that will fall into the time parameters we require, your mission is to figure out how you will visually match sections of your script. Options include photos, tables, videos, etc. Search for those visual pieces that fit your story or create them yourself. Your story table will take sections of your script and pair them with ideas for visuals. Then specific visuals will be chosen as you narrow down your options. You've been looking at our first story table, and this is our second story table. Don't forget, it's very important to credit all material that is not your own. That includes graphics, images, music, etc. These credits will be shown at the end of your story. More information on crediting and copyright is available in our guide. Now put all the pieces together in a simple format like iMovie. You may need to go back a few times and make changes or record voices again. Make sure the script is matching the images that you choose and that the narrator's voice is clear. Although proper English is important, there's a bit more casual approach to language in these videos, but make sure the narrator is speaking words correctly, that sentences are not unusually long, and that the volume is correct. When you're satisfied with the final product, what's next? P4P2 asks that all stories that are created are shown to a group that has not yet seen them. That audience may be another class or team, parents, a special group, or others. Consider an event to be a screening for your stories and make a celebration out of it. The stories might be shown at a STEM or STEAM night, a school assembly, a pregame gathering, or an event for National Girls and Women in Sports Day, which is in February of each year. It's very important to get feedback on your work. If your story is a part of a class, a teacher will establish how stories will be evaluated, but often areas to consider would be the story itself, planning and processing, grammar, use of media, and inclusion of all the components like title page, story, and credits. P4P2 also recommends students or storytellers evaluate their own work. Once you do your first digital story, the second one is easy. Submit stories to P4P2 where they will be evaluated by staff for inclusion in the online sport-based leadership curriculum. If accepted, the story creator will be contacted and the story will have a branding attached to it. Accepted stories will be posted on the P4P2 YouTube channel and can be accessed by all. Discussion guides and/or lesson plans for stories will be available at the P4P2 website, www.playingforpowerproject.org. Now, put your creative hat on and let's explore women's sports together.